Yeah, you got to pay attention. Okay, we're back with part 3. I think we were talking about how you feel about empowerment. So I'm going to let you go back to that.
Okay. Well, being a part of this race and social justice initiative here in the city of Seattle, which this program fits very well, the program like Festoff Cultural Festivals, but I've learned a lot about power and how power is used, and so I've been thinking more about what power is, and my own personal power, and it's just it's a combination of so many things, who you know, your skill set, your knowledge, your language, how you treat others, your integrity, all those things kind of build in the system I'm in, right? That builds a sense of power. So I feel as though it's a key element of leadership, for one, and I think until you start to understand it and evaluate your own sense of power, can you really exercise it in a way, and like with the supervisor I had who was a militaristic kind of leader, his power was in his ability to intimidate you. Right? That was the way that's the power he had, right? And he'd say stuff that was just like, did you say that?
Wow.
He would say crazy stuff to people, and that was his sense of power. So I think also in terms of empowering others is when you give it away, when you extend it, then you really gain even much more. So it's a powerful thing, If you try to hold it and hoard it, then it doesn't accomplish anything. It's limited.
Right.
So for instance, what I feel like I do with these organizations is empower them to be strong. So what I do is, and that is specifically bringing in people to teach them about how to raise money, right? How to structure your board. Other organizations that will teach you, and individuals who can teach you how to just be stronger at your organization, right? And that's the focus of the meetings that I have, is to help them build in their capacity. So that's a way of extending what I felt like I learned when I was at Langston Hughes. And that way they're able to grow and be strong within the producing of their festival and the work that they do with community. Because a lot of cases they're working with young people. They've got concerns, with their young people in their communities where they need them. They want them to learn their history and their culture, to not be totally unaware of where they come from and that sort of thing. So it's really, it's important to these organizations. I think I was going to say earlier that questions I asked them was, why do you do this? They say, well, we want to share our culture and do. I asked the Vietnamese and the Arab group, and the Vietnamese said, well, we want people to, understand that our culture is beautiful. So I said, oh, yeah, but you spend a lot of volunteer time. You're doing a lot to do this. I don't buy that. So I asked them 3 times. The third time, they finally said, we want people to understand we're not boat people. So I said, oh, okay, I get it. The images you see on TV when the Vietnamese first came over here showed them as boat people. And they said, we want people to get a different image of us.
Right.
So that's personal. See, I can get behind that because that's personal. That's something you want people to understand who you are, not be caught in these stereotypes. So that's when I started bringing in people from the Seattle Arts Commission, people from the King County Arts Commission, people from the state. None of these groups were getting any funding from any of those commissions.
That's very important.
Now, a lot of them get money from all of them, right?
Right.
Department of Neighborhoods funds them. They're all on their own. See, they were totally dependent on us. So that, in a way, I feel is giving the power away. Because I'm saying, I don't hold all the keys to your success. There are other places you can go. It's the whole teach a man how to fish, and you feed him for life, as opposed to just give him some fish and you fed him one time.
Right.
So I think that's what I saw as how this relationship was working with these community-based organizations. It was more like giving them fish as opposed to sharing it. And then that helps the relationship. So that's why I don't have, they're not going to the mayor and saying, well, Steve is mistreating us and not giving us what we need.
Right.
Even if they feel that way, they just come to me, and that was one of those that's that was one of those fears, right? That they would do that sort of thing. So
how have you dealt with, sometimes you get into conflicts and other people have conflicts, under your watch and stuff. How do you? I think you pretty much answered that kind of before, but if you could kind of shortly just go over that again.
Well, it depends on the kind. I mean, there's a lot of different conflicts that happen within this whole realm here.
Right.
All kind of conflicts. I usually try to, in general, I try to confront the conflict. I try to deal with it head on in whatever way seems appropriate for that particular conflict. Or if it's not my conflict, then I have to know how to get out of it also.
I know that's right.
Because if I can, if I'm in the middle of a conflict that's not mine, and it happens all the time here, like you got two entities at one festival.
Right.
One of them wants to take it over, the other one wants to hold on to it, and they want me to solve it.
Right.
So that's not mine to solve. That's a community issue. You all got a community issue. You're trying to determine who's. I can just cut the baby in half.
Yeah.
I can't resolve your community conflict between each other.
Right.
It's not for me to do. Now I can assist you, and I can talk with you about it. I can help you understand. I can help in whatever way I can, but I can't take a stand. I have to deal with whoever comes to me who is representing this official organization. And that approach with conflicts internally, and every one has had one or another. I've that's been the approach I've taken, and that's so far has worked. I haven't had to come in the middle, but there hasn't been something like, I don't know. There hasn't been anything that that requires that I get in the middle of it, and I've gotten close, but so my attempt is just to help them resolve it and to understand their own power. It goes back to power. I can remember having this very conversation with one of the younger entities in a festival with an older leader and saying to her, look, you got more power than you think. You want me to come in, the dad, to come in. I'm not the dad, though. Right. I represent the government. Government can't come in and tell you what to do with your community-based organization. You don't even want me to do that.
That's right.
That's not right. So what you have to understand is that you have more power than you realize and organize. And, so it's that kind of direct instruction that, and eventually she said, okay, I'll try that. So, so otherwise, but now internally we can have conflict too, right? And within our own work groups, right? Between us, because to do this, I've got to work with a coordinator, like a technical director and stage hands and all the people, right? And I got to help them understand. So part of the leadership role is that I set an example of how to treat folks, because that was a clash in the beginning. Oh man, people were complaining. This stage hand,
So it's basically you had to give them a sort of a layout on how to have good relations with people and not because especially dealing with different cultures like this. Right. What is good, like say within our black culture, in an Indian culture, they might not interpret it, and what they sometimes what they do in our culture is just totally unheard of. So I know that's a big conflict. It's
complicated, and for example, so I tried to deal with them with big broad strokes, like. We had a training, but there was a training that they already were doing when I came, and this training.
Oh, okay. Hold on to that story. Let me stop this real quick, and we'll get back to that story. Keep that.